Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted. Hello and welcome back to the Get Sculpted pod. I'm really excited about this one today. We all are. It is a little bit spicy, but you're going to love it. And we are going to talk about the 6 types of people you want to stop being if you want to get lean, fit, and sculpted in 2025. And I know that's what you want because you're listening to this pod, so you want to know what not to do. Are you girls excited?
I'm so pumped for this one.
So excited.
Okay, good. I feel the same. So this is the year where we want it to be your year. If you're listening and you're like, yeah, like I'm on an upswing, we're going to make that happen. So if you're serious about finally getting in the kind of shape you want to be in, really leveling up your fitness, whatever that looks like for you, maybe you want to get that flat stomach, you want to fit in the shorts and feel really good doing it. You want the capped shoulders, you want to be sculpted, you want to look like you work out. So there are going to be certain things that you're going to have to let go of to become that person. You are going to have to let go of what's keeping you in your 1.0 because the reality is what keeps you comfortable is your current habits, your current mindset, the way that your mind works and that your days happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what we want to do is we want to trickle in these changes for you. And we want to help you do that so that you can eventually ascend to your 2.0. So today, it's really important to identify what exactly those 1.0 habits are and the mindset that's holding you back. And we're going to do that by calling out 6 specific types of women who we have identified through our research who are keeping themselves stuck, who say they want the results, but they keep sabotaging with weak mindsets and, quite frankly, with half-assed effort. And you don't want to do that. You're not that kind of person. You're here on our pod. We know you're not. So if you see yourself in any of these, I'm going to be honest, that is good because it's better to identify yourself and be honest with yourself and improve. We've all been in our 1.0. We all are still ascending to a new 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step is putting your ego to the side and saying, hey, this is my gap and this is what I want to work on. So that means it's time to level up. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So number 1 person you don't want to be is the know-it-all. And let me admit something right away. I was this person, 100%. I was a little bit know-it-all-y with coaches I've had. And here's how this shows up for you that we've heard. So let's say you had a trainer once like 10 years ago. You were like, you know what? Let me get like a few sessions here. And then you're like, oh, okay, great. I had this trainer. I'm good. You save all these fitness reels. You listen to these fitness podcasts. You read all the books. You read the ebooks. You consume the content. But then when it comes time to like getting guidance and getting feedback for yourself, you're not going to follow any coach's plan because, oh, I already know what to do. And you're putting yourself in this box of the work is done. And you've, in reality, if we really zoomed out, realistically and objectively, you've really scratched the surface. Like you're consuming this information, but if you knew exactly what to do to have the most bang-in fit and amazing body, like you would have already been there by now. And the fact that you're not honest with yourself about that is the problem. So even if you have lots of information on paper, you might just not know or not be able to implement that in a way that is relevant for you. And that's why you haven't gotten the results that you want. And if you're living in denial of that, that is keeping you stuck. So the message that we want to drive home here is that being coachable is a skill set. This is what I tell my clients. I'm sure you guys would agree. When you start, you are going to have to accept that we might do things differently. We should if you want to make that change. Like, have you guys seen this come up, the know-it-aller?
Yes and no. I would say right now, less often in the people that I tend to coach, they'll say things like, I've done all this research and stuff like that. But definitely, I think I've narrowed into more of the people that are like, I need help at this point. For me.
Oh, yeah. Just to clarify, for people that I've coached, usually they're not in this mindset. It's more the people who I've had conversations with who won't even seek support.
Yes.
Because they're a know-it-aller.
That's actually a good point. I have definitely come across people like that. Absolutely. Like how you described, you know, kind of just being a collector of information and hopping from one thing to another. It's funny. I don't want to call out family and friends because I love my family and friends, but even sometimes you're like, this is a spicy episode. But sometimes I just see people in my life collecting all this information and they're like, this isn't working, and this. And I'm thinking, but I've got information for you that actually will move the needle for you. So I don't know if it's that they necessarily have the know-it-all. They just think that they've got enough and that they don't need that other eye looking in on things because they feel like they already know what to do because it's out there. The information's out there.
But then my question to those people, and I was this person, so I'm pretty comfortable calling them out, is like, if you have all the knowledge and then some compared with what's out there, why are you not the best in the world? Why are you not on the Olympia stage right now?
Yeah.
There's no room for you to grow.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Yeah. There's a difference between knowing everything and then how to apply that information to you, and also then how to pivot. So maybe you can get yourself to a certain percentage of the way on your goals, but at some point you're going to have blind spots and you're not going to be able to see the gaps that somebody else is going to be able to support you on, because there's a system, there's resources, there's guidance, and an outside perspective. You just can't do that for yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can't, no. And I think the next one too, Jord, is going to be a very relatable one as well. Take us to number 2.
Ooh, the overthinker. So she is obsessed with learning, but never implements. She thinks she needs more information before taking any action. If this is you, you might be reading articles or studies or papers. You might be scrolling
just
Instagram
content.
or TikTok, consuming tons of content. You're saving workouts, you're saving recipes. You're like, I have all this information, but you are paralysis by analysis. You are staying stuck. You don't need more tips. You actually need to do the work at this point. You need to put in the reps. And so really it's about, you won't learn your way to a sculpted body. You just won't. You have to actually start to implement those things. You have to do your way there. And if this is you, it's time to start taking imperfect action. It's time to start being messy towards your goals. And waiting for things to be perfect is actually a form of self-sabotage. And so I would like to challenge the overthinker to just pick a path forward and start to take those steps that need to be taken.
The overthinker is tactical avoidance. That means they're just obsessing about like, okay, well, I'm going to compare this and this. And they're seeking freebies and they're getting the meal plans and then they're getting the macros. And then before you know it, their inbox is full of all these things where they just haven't done any of them. They're just collecting them. It's like hoarding information.
Yep.
And then what they're afraid of ultimately, I think what you're saying, Jord, is they're really just avoiding taking action because it's going to be hard and uncomfortable.
And then at some point you have so much information that you are stuck because
Paralyzed.
you don't know what path to take, because there's so many options now. And at that point in time, you just need to pick one and start to make the best path forward for yourself and pivot along the way. That's the only way you're going to start to navigate away from being a chronic overthinker.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
absolutely. Take us to number 3.
Okay, number 3, we're going to call this the toe dipper. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I know we've all had clients like this, and I know we've all talked to people like this. So I'm excited for this one because this is the person that follows the plan half-heartedly. She might eat mostly on plan, but not measure it, or
and then some.
And then some. She might add a glass of wine every night, or add extra coffee drinks, special drinks from, you know, our favorite places, and not count those. She might have bites, licks, and tastes extras while making kids dinner, but not really thinking about the impacts of that. She might show up to her workouts, but finish the workout early, substitutes her own exercises in, or just like going through the motions, not like very present.
Not there to improve.
Exactly. Maybe eating on plan, but doesn't measure food and then says, well, I ate the on plan foods.
The food itself.
Exactly. And really with the toe dipper, it's like they're out to get the plan and the progress, but they're getting in their own way by DIYing what they think is better. And at the beginning, you might see early results because you're making enough change to see some sort of impact, but that's going to fizzle out super quickly. And here's the truth of the matter. It's like,
it gets you so far.
Exactly. Half effort equals half results. And that's if you're lucky. So before we wrap up on this one, I would love to hear if you guys have anything else to add.
Well, I always come back to our sculpted standards. So one of the big pillars of our Get Sculpted community is full commitment, no half measures. So that's what the toe dipper reminds me of. Or a little spicier way to say it is like, don't half-ass things, use your whole ass. Because really what you're doing when you're the toe dipper is you're taking a step forward and a step back every single time. It's kind of like keeping you stuck. And you do get frustrated with yourself because on the one hand, you're like, I am doing something, but you're not, because every step of the way you take that step forward, then you sabotage yourself backwards.
That's the thing. You might as well do the full thing. That's what I always tell people. It's like two things can be true. Like my therapist always says, you're making a change. It's a big change. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. And you're not going to get the full benefit. Why not just take it 10% further? Why not just tighten things up? It's not really going to be any more effort. It's just taking that extra mile. That's how it is for a lot of people. Like I just did a check-in with a client today and she's doing good. You know, we need to move progress a little bit faster. And I'm kind of looking at how things are looking. And she wasn't on target 100% with her nutrition. And I said to her, honestly, I'm like, listen, I'm not saying this in any sort of mean way, but we got to hit the protein targets. We got to hit the calorie targets. And the truth of the matter is, objectively, if you're not hitting these targets, we're just not going to have the numbers sit where they want to sit. So I said to her, like, really, when it comes to having a plan, you want to do no more, no less. I remind myself of that too. I don't need to go out and do extra cardio. I don't need to do supplementary things, but I also don't want to undershoot the plan at hand.
That's a good point.
And when people are dipping their toes, they think, well, I've already paid and I've already began. But the truth is you got to go all the way. And that's it.
Absolutely.
1,000%. That's like the key message here is if you want the best, the fastest, the most consistent results, you have to go all in.
Yeah.
You just can't do it any other way. Otherwise, you're just going to lead you to be frustrated with yourself, frustrated with the process, and have you thinking like, oh, this didn't work for me yet again. But did you really follow the plan that was outlined the way that it needs to be executed in order to get the results?
And be honest with yourself.
And be honest with yourself on that journey. So that's our toe dipper. Do you want to take us to the next one, Mar?
I absolutely do. So let's talk about this next person who we call the fixed mindset chick. So this person is convinced that she cannot follow a plan or get results because there's just too many things going on in her life. She can't do anything to change it. There's too many obstacles. And I say this with all the love in the world. But what I want to say to these women is you're not a tree. You're not a plant. You're not stuck planted where you are. What you have is a fixed mindset. And you've repeated these stories to yourself for so long that they feel like truths, but they are not truths. They are habits of thought. And the great news is habits can be changed. So when you keep telling yourself that you're not disciplined or you can't stay on plan, what you're doing is you're reinforcing that 1.0 identity that is actually keeping you from becoming the version you want to be. So if you want a new result, like we say, nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to become a woman who stops arguing for her limitations, because this is key. And this was something that was said to me. Every time you say, I can't do something, what you're actually saying is, I'm not going to try. I won't try.
Absolutely.
Okay. So change is hard. We've said that a few times already. We know that. We are sensitive to that. I think as coaches, I'd like to plug that I think we're some of the most sensitive coaches that there are out there because we've been through things ourselves. We know change is hard. Life is hard. But I will say staying stuck in a body and a life that you're not happy with is much, much harder.
Choose your heart. I agree. I think at the same time, I think it's important to have compassion, but I kind of believe sometimes you need a little bit of a kick in the ass, especially from your coach.
No, it's true.
Where it's like, you need the reality. Because I always tell my clients, I'm like, listen, I love you. I'm rooting for your success. I'm not your best friend or your mom, though. Like, if things are not moving the way they want to move, I'm going to objectively be like, listen, this is your roadblock right here. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It's like, I want my coaches to tell me my roadblocks in all elements of life.
For sure.
I don't want to be told everything is great. And then what the hell? Where's my results? Like, this is the honest truth.
Yeah, it's true.
And I love what you said there, Mar. You have to stop arguing for your limitations. Like, holy crap, that should hit people like a ton of bricks listening to that, because
So true.
You're arguing for yourself to stay small when you're like, oh, I can't. You're creating the argument to literally be stuck. You're reinforcing why you should. And guess what? Life doesn't get any easier. It gets more complex. It can get harder. And there is no easy time.
No.
So waiting for that just means that you're opting for the harder path. And that sucks. Like, why do you want to stay that way?
Yeah.
Like, have you not suffered enough to want change? How much suffering do you need to inflict on yourself? How bad does it have to get for you to step outside of that fixed mindset? And this is you and you're listening to this, like, really sit with that for a minute, because you're choosing the hardest of the hard and you're accepting that for yourself as the best possible option. Like, that's pretty shitty.
Is that the kind of person you want to be?
Right. And I think of the women in our community, right? So these women, they are transforming their bodies. T, you always say it, they're not unicorns.
No.
They don't have special genes. They don't have special circumstances. They just got tired of the excuses. And instead of staying fixed on the problem, they chose that growth mindset and they focused on solutions instead of limitations. And let me tell you, they did it even when it was hard, even when they were busy, even when it felt uncomfortable and there was resistance. So if you are listening thinking, oh my gosh, I am the fixed mindset chip, then you need to stop saying this is just how I am. This is how it is. And you need to start thinking of that 2.0 version and say, what would she be doing right now?
Yeah.
Act like her. Make those choices. So again, the message, you're not stuck. You are repeating these old stories that are wired in your brain. So now you get to rewrite that script. You are in control.
100%. Love it.
All right. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Oh, how I resonate with this one. Let me tell you, this is the all or nothing girl. Okay. So this is the woman who is all in on Monday, food prepared, workout scheduled, every detail is planned out perfectly. And then life happens. Life throws something at you and you miss a workout. You eat off plan and then you spiral out of control. And it's like, okay, I'll start again next Monday. I'll start again next week when things slow down. And this is where I'm going to give tough love because I actually needed someone to tell me this all those years ago. All or nothing mindset. It's terrible. It keeps you stuck. There's no other way. That's what it does. It keeps you average. And average is not why you are here.
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to this podcast because you want more for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We have said it 15 million times. We don't need you to be perfect, but you have to be consistent. So the women who are living this lean, fit, confident version of themselves, they don't get that way by being 100% perfect. They get there by refusing to quit when things go sideways and they adjust. And we talked about this in a previous podcast episode about the fact that when you're living a fit life, you don't give up in certain circumstances when different events come up. You live that fit life and you adjust. The other thing I want this woman to remember too is like, you're going to mess up. You are going to mess up. You're going to miss a workout. You're going to eat a cookie. You're going to do things that don't always align with this version of yourself. But it's not those isolated moments that are going to break progress. It's what you do after. So I want all of our listeners to think about this. When you hit a roadblock, what do? Do you course correct? Do you keep going? Or do you sabotage yourself? Because your results or lack of results will actually show you the answer to that. So big message here is progress beats perfection. You have to learn to course correct instead of crashing and burning and starting over and over and over.
Amen.
And something I want to add here is how to know if this is you. If you have said the thing like, oh, I can follow any plan for like 12 weeks, but as soon as I hit X time frame, like 8 weeks, 12 weeks, then I don't know what happens after that. It just goes off the rails. Or I have to wait till summertime because I can't do anything while the kids are in school, or I can't do anything around the holidays because it is just too crazy and I can't start anything. This all or nothing mentality, like those are the things that you're saying to yourself. You're creating like additional limitations for no extra reason. Like that time is going to pass anyway.
Yes, it is.
Why not work on it and do it to the best of the ability, what is presented to you in life in that time frame?
Something I've learned is to be an 80%er.
Yeah.
What I've told myself is I've been all or nothing, I guess, in some aspects. But yeah, the expectations and the guilt were always so high. And you just relieve a lot of that mental pressure too. Just saying, listen, like I really only have to be 80% consistently. And if I do that, then I'm freaking crushing it.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not ever going to maybe wake up at 5 a.m. or whatever. But if I'm consistently doing the right things, that is going to add up to progress.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I love what you're saying there, T, because the all or nothing, the all side can also look like 1,000% effort. It's not even sustainable. And that's why you end up
like the best.
Yeah, that's why you go in through this pendulum back and forth. But the 80%, that's something I actually had to work on a lot in therapy because my 80 to 100% was like 5,000%. And it's like, well, what does 80% look like for you? And I'm like, 80% is failing. That's what I used to think. I'm like, 80% is average. And it's like,
it's not acceptable.
Yeah. But my 80% is still higher than a lot of other people's 80%. So it's like finding what your 80% is, what that manageable place is. It's such an important step in that evolution of all or nothing.
I love that reframe. I cannot remember who originally said the quote, but my therapist has quoted this many times to me, that idea of whatever percent you have to give. So if you have 40% to give and you give 40%, you've actually given 100% of the effort that you have in that moment. So this, again, keeps coming back to like, what is the capacity you have? Something is better than nothing. So the all or nothing is keeping you stuck. You have to assess, what do I have to give? And I'm going to give as much of that as I can. And that can fluctuate. So
Amen.
T, I would love you to take us to the next type of person we're talking about today.
All right. So I do feel strongly about all of these, but especially I would say this one. Number 6 is the victim. And we've all been in this mindset before. So I don't want you guys to think for a second that, we're all being mean and nitpicking. I'm sure we've all embodied these, and that's part of the human experience. But you need to recognize this. So the victim is someone who always blames the things outside of herself. My dang schedule's so busy. It's just the type of career I have. Well, of course I have kids. I don't have a nanny. Well, my husband is always home late. And well, my job is just so demanding. And these perimenopausal hormones, they make it impossible. But they are never actually focusing on what they can control. And I want to make it clear, I am not saying that we all have the same 24 hours. I'm not saying a lot of these things aren't freaking tough. I'm not saying, hey, I have 2 kids. I don't have a nanny. I'm not saying that if I were having more time and not parenting my kids, things wouldn't be different or easier or whatever it may be. But also, why am I focusing on what my situation isn't?
Yeah.
Because I only have my situation.
Good point.
I don't have Susie or Sally's situation. When you are just dwelling on all these things you can't control, then you're giving up your power on the things you can control. So it comes back to really everything. We hear this a lot about, it's just the age that I'm in. And the reframe that I always have is, if other people have done it and are doing it, so can I. I might not be able to control everything, but there's a lot that I can control. You have to control the controllables. And at the end of the day, this person who is the victim is not actually helpless in reality. She's avoiding personal responsibility. She lives in a fixed mindset. And a lot of these people are coming back to a fixed mindset. So in your own life, you can either be a victim or you can be the authority, but you can't be both.
Yeah. I was going to add to that just about spheres of influence and what you can actually control. This is a concept that we've recently introduced to some of our girls, and it's like you have 3 layers of influence. The layer closest to you is stuff you actually have control over, which is your schedule, which is how you manage your time, what your priorities are, what you think and how you feel, and the actions that you take. And every sphere of influence gets wider and wider away from you. You get to things that you don't have influence over, but also are preoccupying your mind with things that don't actually matter.
Mental real estate.
Yes, mental real estate. And so it's like, let's say it's like, oh, well, it's cold outside and it's dark, so therefore I can't work out. Like,
I hate that.
You can't control that, right? And you're turning yourself into a victim. Well, what can you do? Maybe there's a snowstorm and you can't get to the gym. It's summer now, so we don't have snow right now. But let's say you did. You can still work out at home. Maybe you need a kettlebell.
My kid kept me up all night.
My kid kept me up all night. Okay, well, maybe it's a shorter workout, but you can still do something. And it's coming back to that. I like what you're talking about, that full ownership that takes those spheres of influence and said, well, what is actually mine to worry about versus what do I need to let go of because I don't actually have control or influence over X, Y, and Z over there. I can really only control what I am doing and the actions that I am taking, and I have to take full ownership over that.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah, I think, Jord, that was a really excellent point. And at the end of the day, results are going to come to the people who are not going to come to the people who keep outsourcing responsibility. They're going to come to the people who consistently take ownership. So if you're listening to this, we know that you want to achieve epic results when it comes to your body, your fitness, your health. You want to level up to your 2.0. And that means that you really have to let go of the mindset and habits that are keeping you stuck. You have to shed that skin that you have now to evolve into that next awesome version of yourself. And this is another hard pill to swallow. Your new life will cost you your old one in a lot of ways. And you don't want to stay stuck in these limiting beliefs. So if you like this one, we would love if you shared it with your friends, post it on socials, tag us at getsculpted.ca. All our deets are in the show notes. By you spreading this message, you're going to help more awesome women like you continue to level up their lives as well. And if you like this spicy episode format, give us your feedback. We love to hear more from you. And next week, I'm coming in with another little bit of a spicy one as a solo pod. And I'm going to talk about the tough love truths you need to hear that nobody's willing to tell you, but I will. We'll see you in the next one.
See you.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.